Okay. Having a little trouble getting these knees to working. You'll understand someday. I was asked to do a little history on the Native Plant Society of Louisiana. Now, I think we need to do a little background first of the people that made it possible. And I see quite a few faces in the audience that did help make the Native Plant Society what it is today. To introduce myself, I was a child of the woods, to say the least. I hated school, except when we headed outdoors. I grew up on a farm, a little two-mule farm in North Louisiana, and my dad knew quite a bit about some things, like the snakes and so forth, and he made sure that we didn't kill anything but the bad snakes. And my mother didn't ever go for that. She had a garden hoe and she took care of everything. But on the way to the community store, which was about a 3/4 mile from our home, I got to look at all of the different native plants, and there was a lady that lived on that road that became very popular later in her life, Caroline Dormon. And at the time that, well, near the time of Caroline's death, she had me come up and she told me that she had formed the foundation and that I would be looking after Briarwood, her nature preserve, and they could pay me a wonderful salary, $100 a week. I mean a month, a month. I didn't have a heart to tell her that that wouldn't hardly buy the milk. But she was a wonderful lady. When I introduced her to my wife, Jessie Fair, she just fell in love with Jessie. And I think she realized that Jessie was a little bit, she could retain more in her head than I could in mine. So Miss Dorman made sure that when she gave us plants, I might do the digging, but Jessie she done the talking to my wife. And we would take the plants over to our farmhouse, and Jessie would plant them and water them, and she kept very much informed about what she gave us, how it grew. And there was wonderful years there on the farm. I worked all things in a sawmill, but it was not the old-fashioned sawmill. It was one of these that was all electrical, or at least that was the way it was when I left. My job was to keep it running. And some of you know the Royal Martin Company. That was one of the original companies of the Royal Martin family. And quite often, someone would bring in a weed and wanted it identified. And the company manager there at that time was Jonathan Martin, and he would introduce me to these people, and they had seen me somewhere else. I thought you was a professor. I said, I'm a long way from a professor. But I like both. I like the wild things, in the woods, and so glad to help these people out. One was one of the Indian primroses that gets about so high and grows in wetlands. And our friends would come to Briarwood, and we would take them on a tour. And as we went through, I showed them the different native plants, tell them where they generally grew in the state of Louisiana, and how to grow them if you wanted them to. Lots of plants have a problem, say, of growing, except in a specific soil pH. And it was so wonderful when some of the professors that collected Louisiana iris put down the pH. Now, we looked at that for years and it didn't quite register. And then all of a sudden, it dawned on me, hey, this has a neutral pH. Ours is very acid there at Briarwood. Most of the Louisiana iris grow well for us, but some just absolutely won't. And a few of the ladies come several times. We would discuss the Native Plant Society for Louisiana. We were kind of shocked when we found out there was none. And this lady from Shreveport, or near Shreveport, Caroline Dor, was a great plants lady. She knew botanical names as well as common names. And she would bring along two other ladies, D. Bishop and let's see what this other one is here. I did not wear my reading glasses this morning. This is my working on vehicles glasses. You'll understand if you don't someday. And Teresa Thrash, and these three ladies grew a lot of different wild plants. And we discussed a Native Plant Society 2 or 3 times, and then finally Caroline said, well, if ever, we'd better get started. So it was kind of a chicken and an egg deal. I don't know which was which, but Shreveport started a chapter first, and then Caroline Dor had this friend that come up from New Orleans, or from Metairie, that is, and he was a great plant person too. Some of you may have heard of David Highcamp. He lived in Metairie at least the time we knew him, and he was a charter member of the Louisiana Native Plant Society, and he wanted to have it statewide right then. So we met a group. Well, first off, we sent out to everyone we knew, all of the people that were on plants list and so forth, that we wanted to form a statewide Louisiana Native Plant Society. And we met at Briarwood. Most of us sat down on the dirt because I didn't have near that many chairs. Then we decided to do some more talking, and one of the things that was mentioned over and over was a central location. So you can understand that Alexandria is pretty much the central location. Well, I didn't know anyone down there that was in the native plants. So I called our friend Sarah Simmons over here, and Sarah, I'm glad that you could make it. And she said, well, There is Ben Martin. Any of you know Ben Martin? He was a professor there. And Robert Turley. Now, when Ben Martin started coming up to our nature preserve, he brought along a lady he called the old woman. And Jessie, the name again. Beulah Bergeron.
She was.
And she was again a great plant person. And she just loved the outdoors. She was getting along in age, and we got to know her, and then she had to go into an assisted living place down there, and I managed to visit with her even up until a short time before she died. And she always had that big smile, and I always tried to bring along a little refreshments there, even though they didn't allow it in the assisted living place. But we loved her, and she always wanted to know how all of the native plant meetings and so forth was going. Now, Robert Turley was the parish agent, I believe, and he had a building in Alexandria that the first group could meet in, which we were relatively small, about 30, I guess, of the people. And we met. We had people assigned to the legalities there that go along with any organization. And so we set times for our annual winter meetings, which was the most important. That was the visit meetings. And then the, let's see, Ben Martin had access, being at the time, I think he was chancellor or whatever they call it, of the extension, LSU extension there at or just below Alexandria. And we used that place for a few years until the use of it was costing us more than we were taking in, so we decided to come, and we come up to Campground Walker for our meetings, and we met there several years, and finally, I think all the insurance and everything else that we had to pay, it again got more expensive than we wanted to pay. So the Hardner group here was approached, and they agreed. I don't know, did we pay anything, Jackie?
No.
All right. Well, that's our style. We get everything. But Caroline Dormon was great friends with the Hardners. And my dad was not born, but raised to adulthood about 6 miles from here, a place called Sand Spur. You turned off at Sand Spur to come out on the way here. And he always told me about these trees that had these great big leaves on them. And eventually it dawned on me he was talking about Magnolia macrophylla. It was not a figment of his mind. Now, if you want to see native stands of the big leaf magnolia. You'll find a couple of them out on Big Creek Road that begins just out of Pollock on this side. And you've had a few, I know, field trips out there, because Jessie went. I didn't get to go that year. So, most of it is on accessible land. One is behind a cemetery out there, and has a number of all of the different native magnolias of Louisiana. But I grew up knowing Caroline Dormon. I was the gopher. If she needed sphagnum to ship some of the plants with, like the violets that they sold, she would get me to go and get the real stuff, not after it had been sitting at Walmart for some period of time. This is still green. And there were a lot of other things. She grew the mountain laurels that everybody raved over, and we still have, I guess, at least 100 mountain laurels on the place there. And we have added on to the different plants that Caroline found that could be grown there. I'm trying to think of some. I'm looking at my brain over there.
Listen, you have to tell, I found a new species of quillwort that's not been named yet. I thought that I kept trying to, key it out. Couldn't key it out. Gary Landry come up. Y'all should ever experience a trip with Gary Landry. He sees this, he goes bonkers, and then it comes back from the gurus. It is an unknown species. So I'm real thrilled.
And she didn't tell you that at first she was throwing it over the fence.
This is part of it.
When Steve Bender in 1970, what year was that, Jessie? Well, it was back when Steve Bender is the garden editor for Southern Living. And he had more things to talk about after he left Briarwood, because all of the plants, just about it, that we have there, we know the history of it from the time it was dug up by someone until we were able to grow it there. Miss Norman always talked about the digging women. There are just about as many digging men, we found out. You'll have to excuse me, my tongue is getting dry.
I want to interject then that John Marone, he is best because he has made sure that we have, like the croton, Alabama croton, all these unusual plants. He has made sure the white star anise. You can't give a tour without passing by a plant, thanks to John Marone. And they love that white flowered hibiscus and the white flowered sea marshmallow, Kostelitsky. Okay. Yeah. And that's thanks to John. Love him.
And with the Native Plant Society, I think that more and more we should influence highway beautification. Doesn't come easy now, because they have a mindset. I at one time worked for the group, and we were doing a program for Verity club, women's club at Faraday, and they had the man from the highway department there, and he got up and he gave a beautiful spiel. Well, I didn't see it that way. He got very unhappy because I told him that stuff they're spraying on the highway, the men didn't know. The men didn't care what they were spraying. All they wanted to do was put in 8 hours and go home to their wife and kids. And whether it lived or died was not their problem. But he got real unhappy about it. But when you have the truth behind you, that's the way it is. So one of the things that you really have to do is work hard to get the people in charge to where they know what they're doing. And then I think we'll have more beautiful highways. We had them at one time. I can remember years ago when they used the sickle bar mower. Louisiana was the wildflower state of the nation. And that wasn't highly publicized back then. I just happened to be building bridges in old 8th District as a kid. Now, I was not quite old enough to vote, but they got me in anyway because the man that was over the highway department at that time was his mother, and I were real good friends down at Southwestern at Lafayette. So there was a lot of people that helped us form a society. These specs on again now, and I would like to give some credit, particularly to those who are here today. John Marone, you were a great motivator for us, and there was a man now deceased, Carl Emerson. How many of you knew Carl? That's quite a good number. Shame on you that didn't have the opportunity, because he was one of the greatest plantsmen that we have ever met. He loved to come down to our place. He loved to come to the state meetings. So there was Robert Murray. He's now gone on to the great flower garden in the world. Funny little story about Robert. We had a meeting, native plant tour in Washington Parish, and Robert Murray was there, a great plantsman if there ever was one, and the old truck that he was driving, one wheel run off of it. One, I believe it was a front wheel. And not to be put out, Robert got some fall from
my son Andy.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah.
It's a bubble
Yeah.
gum wrapper.
Got some
Ice cream wrapper.
gum wrapper, or what was it?
Ice cream
And
sandwich.
didn't you take the nuts on the other 30 wheels and put on of course they were stripped so they wouldn't tighten up good. That was the idea. And I thought, yeah, you're going to end up in the ditch between. But of all things, they made it. I learned something new. I was a hill farmer's son, and we thought we knew just about everything about jerry rigging, and we had other names for it. But it was really hilarious. But we got to see a lot that day. We got to see the Mount Laurel, the two Mount Laurel groups in the state of Louisiana, one at Push Tappy. And the other one was at Mustard Creek, wasn't it? Where Andrew Jackson mustered his army to fight the Battle of New Orleans. And there was a lot of other plants there, very, very interesting. And we had a great teacher to teach us as we went through that. I understand that was your place of your youth?
Nearby.
Yeah, nearby there, yeah. So we learned quite a bit on that particular trip. There was, of course, Charles Allen and Ardale Thomas from over at Pick.
No, ULM.
Who?
ULM.
Well, it depends. I'm old enough, I can call it that. No, it wasn't. Excuse me. Now I'm getting my brains right. Yes, it was. And anyway, of course, I mentioned Beulah Bergeron, and there was a feisty little girl down in, was that Vernon Parish, named Annette Parson. Oh, goodness. Yes, what I'll always remember about her is when
I was young then, Richard. It's gone now.
We all were on it.
the day has passed. Absolutely. If you're still on this side of the earth, you're okay. So we'll keep going as long as we can. Annette has been a teacher, among other things, but a great plants person. And we saw the lily, or patch of lilies that you had there. We have tried, and we have a few in existence there now at Briarwood, but I've got a pen fixed around them because the deer have become a major problem with both the magnolias. Oh, the buck just loves to rub that. His antlers on
The
those.
lily is the Carolina lily.
The Carolina lilies, and so we have really enjoyed planting and seeing what we could get to grow. If it won't grow well for us, we don't keep just trying and killing things. We let somebody else do that. Now, back to the history. Our first officers were elected at the Alexandria meet, and I was the president. Ben Martin was the vice president. Neil Burtno was the secretary, and Eleanor Hurd was the treasurer. I haven't heard anything from any of them except Richard Johnson now. But anyway,
Most days.
my wife keeps me informed on all of this, so it's good to marry your brain. But each of the meetings, and I think I made all except one, and I don't remember what was afflicting me that I didn't make that, because I really enjoy seeing the faces here. I look around and I see Jackie. We go way back when Jackie was a forester, And
And a young'un.
still love her. And the many other people, I don't know that lady sitting by my wife over there, but oh, yes, life has really been wonderful, and the Native Plant Society has made it that way for us.
Richard,
Yes.
how about Blythe Rand and Bernie Robertson? They were such wonderful early friends of Miss Dormon, and they were so interested in the native plants.
They didn't ever come.
Actually,
Were they gone by then? 1983? Were they, I think
No.
hell,
Oh,
She's-
they went back farther than that.
she's
I
talking
know.
about '70s. She's talking about
okay.
the '70s.
See,
Yeah.
the Native Plant Group was formed in 1983, so that was past their time. And it's a shame.
Yes, I guess it,
Yeah.
We learn more each day. Not too long ago, there was a painting come on the internet, and our son, I believe it was, happened to see it, wasn't it, Jessie?
Well, via Ed Edgerton.
Yeah, and so we managed to get the painting. That's the last large painting that we know of that is in
It was one Caroline Dormon did for someone in Shreveport. And
Yeah.
so it was a Caroline Dormon. And people just don't turn loose of them.
because they are so beautiful and so accurate. She seldom ever done oils. We have maybe 3 oils total. And but the preserve is growing. I worked for a company for 9.5 years that their motto was up, you're either going up, you're going down. So now recently, and I want to show you this, we have rebuilt 2 ponds on the place, and they're large ponds, and they're beautiful. One is they used an old railroad trail to build. Well, they didn't get the dirt just right, so it washed away in one of our big floods. But this time we went to a professional builder of dams, and he dug all of that dirt out that was in the plug and put in clay like he should have been done to start with. And he has just finished doing 2 of those. One of the ponds is full of water and it's full of cypress trees. So, and then the last time we had one, the beavers were in it. They had a house and everything. They didn't do any damage, but it's something you have to keep an eye on. And I don't think we'll get any alligators and put them back in there. A lot of fun sometimes. And really looking forward to the future. Of course, I won't be here, I know. I'm 86.
you're still a kid.
And I can't walk like I used to. I used to not think of walking 10, 15, maybe even 20 miles a day on my job and then there in the woods around Briarwood. But there comes a time that the knees and the hips just don't work. And time comes, and now is. So, but we have loved working with the Native Plant Society. If you ever want to come, we're 30 miles north of Natchitoches, and we have quite a few people come every year. and we give what you would call a native plant tour. Our son has taken it over, but it's going to be a few days before he's going to take anything over. He comes down the ladder the wrong way. Oh goodness, but he'll recover, I'm sure, and be ready to go again. He's enthusiastic and he's learning the botanical names and common names real fast. So he's coming along.
And so it's James.
Beg pardon?
It's a James.
It's
It's
the
his James.
genetic.
Family James.
Oh, well now, I don't know about that. I thought you First cousin of mine died last year, and his last request, you bury me in my overalls, cause God won't know me. And he was absolutely right. And I put on other things to go to church on Sunday, but my blue jeans.
I meant the you know, your family genes, your elders and so forth, you know, your genes you take on after your genetics. That's the word. I'm not sure you got a couple scratches up like that.
Well, Richard, we all owe you and Jessie a great debt of gratitude for the beauty that you have given so many of us in the world.
She has the talent that Caroline Dormon had. She can put the right colored plants at the right places, and it makes a wonderful, do they call that palette? And so, yes, she's very good, but I can dig the hole.
That's right.
Well,
He doesn't
we
have.
have love. Now, last night when I was jotting these things down, I kept hearing in the other room, now make it short, make it short. So it's short now. If you have a question or two, ask me, and if I can't, she'll answer. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us the best time to visit Briarwood?
We have from January, March 1st through until June. And then in the fall of the year, we go through the month of November. And but if someone comes in the gate, we give them a tour, whether it's that time or not. But it's best to call. We can take you anytime if we know you're coming. Otherwise, we might be out chasing wildflowers. Yes, ma'am.
Have you set the date for your picnic?
I think it's,
I think
okay.
it's the second weekend.
It's the weekend after Easter, isn't it?
It's the second weekend, I believe,
In
Rick.
April.
Yes, I believe that's right.
Second Saturday.
And
I'll give it to Dave so he can publish it in the
okay,
news.
good idea, good
Yeah,
idea.
as soon as I.
He's the president of our foundation, Briarwood. Yeah.
I'm thinking.
And I think that does my short.
Dave.
Thank you.